All right. Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you for hopping on. This is a mindset Zoom that I have been looking forward to for a while. And it's something that we've talked about before, but it's something I wanted to go over again because our mindset is something that we have to work on constantly. Working on our mindset constantly is just how we train our brain to responding to the world around us better so that we can get more out of life that we want. How we train, and I have notes. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. All right. So basically, this mindset is going to just give us a little reintroduction into how to retrain your brain to fuel magnetism, positivity, growth, success, and really what do I do to yield bigger results in my life? We all want things in our life that are bigger than where we're currently at. You don't get big results by playing it small. And I'll explain what that means in a little bit. But the first thing I want to ask everybody to do, oh yes, I did get my braces off. Sorry. This is why I should close the chat when I'm talking because Rachel squirrels. I'm like, oh yes, I did. Anyway, Caitlin, don't distract me. I'm kidding. All right. So the first thing I want everybody to do, if you're in a space to do it, if you don't want to write it in the chat, that is perfectly fine. I would love for everybody to write one thing that happened that was good today, one thing that happened that was good today, and one thing that you are grateful for today. And there is a reason. You don't have to write it in the chat if you want to say it in your mind. Oh, you got to see Miss Kelly. That's awesome. I love her. We had a bomb welcome Zoom. Woo woo. I heard about it. I'm excited to hear more. New promoter, grateful for my family, got a new customer. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Those are awesome things. Well, part of the reason I wanted us to go over what is one thing that we are grateful for and one thing that happened good today is because these are the things that help us train our brain. A lot of times we operate in a negative space and we do it without even realizing it. We talk about generational curses. We talk about behavioral patterns. We talk about stinking thinking, negative behavior. We talk about negative behavioral patterns. I mean, you could kind of twist it in any way, shape, or form. And at the end of the day, all that negativity that lives in our brain that's just been there, that we've either created, it's been told to us, or we have come to believe has created our life where it is currently right now. So consider for a minute that every single thing in your entire life has basically, now I know there's some things that have actually happened, and there's things that we tell ourselves about what's happened. So I'm not talking about like random acts of like, God, or like, a hurricane hit, but I'm talking about like life choices. Our life choices have all happened because of what we have told ourselves. What we tell ourselves and what we come to believe frames our entire life. Every single thing that we do all day long, every thought we have, every feeling and every action all comes into play in our life and where we end up. So when we talk about growth mindset and how to get to the next level, before we can create that next level, we must first realize, where are we operating from? What space are you currently operating in? And if you're anything like me and every other human being on planet Earth, your brain is hardwired to be protective. Your brain wants to save you from trauma, hurt, pain, or anything it deems not okay. Because of that and the way that our brain operates, it sets up a set of patterns that actually become our decision-making factors. We actually have trained our brain without even realizing it to react negatively to the world around us. And that's something that we really have to sit down and we really have to work on looking at that, because you can't get to a growth phase and you can't be magnetic and you can't go to that next phase until you really find out, where am I operating from? How am I operating? And why am I operating there? So just consider that your life is basically, battling your brain. It is a tough one, but it's only tough if you tell yourself it's tough. It can be a challenge, but consider that challenge and how tough you think it is the reason that you're stuck there in toughness. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not a challenge. It's definitely a challenge, but it's a challenge in the beginning because you are creating a whole new set of behaviors and thought patterns. Your brain is very malleable. It's very, very capable of shifting. We can shift the way that we think, the way that we feel, and the way that we make decisions, but it actually takes work. It takes work to actually sit down and look and consider how you're being and acting in everything that you do in life. And when you start actually becoming aware of how you're operating and what is the purpose behind your operating, you can start to become more aware of how you got to where you're at today. So every challenge in our life is an opportunity to have something positive show up in our life. I know sometimes we don't think that. But that is a mindset shift, if you will. Tongue tied already. So it takes a little bit of effort. You're actually going to have to look back at your life and you're actually going to have to prove this to yourself. I want you to really, not right now, because I'll be talking in the middle of this, so that's not going to work. But later on, I want you to sit down and I want you to look back at your life. And I want you to look at all those hard times you went through. And 9 times out of 10, all those hard times are what got you all those like positive things that you're looking at. So let me give you, for instance, I went through domestic violence. Going through that domestic violence created me to be a stronger human being. When I see posts on the internet about like, what's one regret that you have or something you wish you could change? I know we all have things like, oh, I wish I didn't eat like 2 cases of donuts last week. I wish I didn't eat those 4 pints of ice cream, but you did. I wish I didn't go on that date, but you did. And what happened from it? You learned something. You learned that it's bad to go on that date. It's bad to eat those 2 cases of 2 dozen donuts. It's not helpful for you and it doesn't serve your goal. Every action that you have, you can look at it as a way of, does it serve my goal or is it hindering my goal? And that's a whole mindset shift. So your life is like a ripple effect. Everything that you have done and the way that you feel and tell yourself about everything that you've been through shifts the lenses that you now look at the future world. That future world is clouded by decisions and feelings and thoughts from your past. That is hindering your ability to getting to the growth phase that you really are looking for. And I think that this is something that we've all been stuck in. So I just thought that this was absolutely necessary to talk about right now. And it's something that we're going to have to talk about again and again and again until we drill it and retrain our brains to be in a mindset of being positive. So anytime that you're worried, you're angry, you're afraid of something, I want you to ask yourself, I want you to stop. The first thing you do in that moment. So we're going to start becoming aware of how we're operating. And part of doing that is stopping whenever you have those negative emotions come up. And I want you to ask yourself, what am I committed to? So if you're in traffic and somebody cuts you off, are you committed to being an angry, pissed off human? Or are you committed to being a positive person? Are you committed to being in a growth mindset or are you committed to your anger problem? What are you committed to? And I want you to ask yourself that and start becoming very, very aware of your feelings and your thoughts behind your feelings. So anytime you're in a circumstance where it's normally frustrating, what happened is you had something that showed up in your life and it was frustrating. A breakup, somebody cut you off in traffic, they got your order wrong, something bad happened, and you told yourself something about, I hate this. This sucks. And when you do that, you're actually training your brain to think negatively about the world around you. So we have literally trained our brain to be negative. And whatever you train your brain and you think of the most is what your brain will recall the most. So if you're walking around constantly thinking negative thoughts, you're teaching your brain to constantly be negative, which is why it's so important to work in self-development, to work on those positive affirmations, to be grateful and work on gratitude, because those are the actions that we put in and replace negativity with that will help shift us from a negative to a positive space, from a stuck in the past to a moving forward in a clear space. So, I'm sorry, you guys. Okay. I have kids downstairs and a ADHD kid watching. Okay, just UPS, false alarm. I have kids that escape the house and will run into the road. So I'm on alert at all times. Okay. So in part of training your mindset, you need to shift your mindset and address what it is that you're actually working in right now. I think we can all be honest that we operate in a lot of negative mind spaces, even when we don't realize it. So some of the things that we can do are just stopping. Stop wherever you're at. If you're in the middle of, you're amping it up and you're about ready to yell at somebody, you feel muscles tightening, your teeth gritting, really feel what's going on in your body. Sit with that, sit in that sewage. I brought that up in the past, it's been a minute, but sit in that and really realize, why am I feeling this way? What's going on in my body? And what am I committed to right now? Why am I acting this way? Why am I getting so angry? And what am I really committed to? Am I committed to being right in this circumstance? Do I need to make my point? Am I committed to being right, or am I committed to something else? So for instance, my kid's not listening, they're driving me nuts, it's been a long day, and they just keep not following directions. Okay, am I committed to being right and proving them wrong and putting them down and constantly, you never listen, you never this? It's easy to do that because I've trained my brain to do that. So something that I've had to work on is stopping and going, you know what? I'm committed to my son being able to follow directions without putting him down. I'm committed to him actually succeeding, even if it doesn't show up the way I want it to. So me getting angry, lashing out is not going to help me get to the goal that I'm looking for. So we have to start seeing where those negative thoughts and actions are in our life. And we have to take captive every single thought, which reminds me of a Bible verse. When I was writing this, I was thinking about, where is it? I think it's 2 Corinthians. I know y'all aren't all God people. Well, I can't find it because I lost it. But basically, the Bible says to take captive every thought, because every single thought will train your brain into stinking thinking or into positivity. So, sorry, I'm like distracted. Okay, so I don't know if anybody's seen that movie, Yes Man. You guys seen that movie? This is totally, it kind of is and is not. I was thinking about that movie, Yes Man, with Jim Carrey, how he was like, everything was no, no, no. And then all of a sudden he had to say yes to everything. And his whole life changed, right? It's a movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It'll kind of get you in the mind space. A little bit of what I'm talking about, not quite. Don't, go out on a ledge and help somebody who's jumping unless you think you can, and sing, wish you wouldn't jump off that ledge, my friend. But if that's what you're going for, if that's what you're committed to, saving lives, then go out on that ledge and save people jumping. But when we actually learn why we're making the decisions that we are and what's operating behind them in that negative space, we can kind of see how are we vibrating? That's that whole vibration thing. We talked about that in the past. How are we vibrating? Is what I'm doing making me vibrate positively or negatively? Am I vibing? Am I in my jam? So another thing that we've done being in this negative space is training our brain into thinking about the worst case scenario. We train our brain to be in worst case scenario mode. When you train your brain into worst case scenario, you are literally asking for the worst case scenario. So one thing I need all of you to do, including myself, we all have to do this, is instead of thinking worst case scenario. So one, for instance, is when I first got here and I was a brand new promoter, and I think this is very important for training new promoters. Don't think, well, worst case, I'll get some free product out of this. No. I got my free product and I've been sitting there for a long, hot minute, not hitting my goals the way I wanted to. Because that's what I created. I created the possibility that my worst case scenario was that I thrived for free. So I did thrive for free. And I made a small choice that had small actions that yielded small results. And while that's great, and that's what some people want to be here for, you really have to figure out, what do you want? Like, what do you actually want? Because small choices and looking at the world of worst case, you actually learn to create and magnetize that towards you. So if you're looking at hitting the next rank or being successful or having a better relationship or having more friends, you have to stop thinking worst case scenario and you need to start thinking of the best case scenario. Best case scenario, I surpass my goal. Best case scenario, I have more friends than I can handle. And we just all have to get together for a big party. Best case scenario, I have a better marriage than I thought I was going to have. And my kids like me more than I thought. I know that one's a little hilarious. So when we start paying attention to our thoughts every time we have them, we can actually learn to interrupt those thoughts and replace them with positivity. So our Triple T team has just read, well, we're working on reading the book, You Are a Badass. Awesome book. It's free on Spotify. I highly recommend it. JoJo's got it up on the screen. Thank you, JoJo. You are on it, girl. I have a kid screaming downstairs and a dog at the door, but I'm not stopping because that's what I'm committed to. I'm committed to getting through the Zoom. Part of what she talks about in that book is looking at a circumstance and creating a positive thought out of it. So she talked about, like, okay, I was in my car driving home and I had my kids with me and 2 tires blew out. So the negative thought that would have easily popped up, because we've trained our brain into thinking negatively, would have been, oh no, now I'm stuck here. Now it's going to take longer. Now dinner's going to be late. You can come up with every excuse and reason in the book why this is negative. Negativity is easy. That's what our brains have been trained to do. What's better is to create and flip that into a positive. So interrupting those negative thought patterns and replacing it with a positivity. I'm pretty sure somebody's killing each other downstairs. They don't get along well. So flipping it into a positive and going, oh, you know what? So in You Are a Badass, Jen, was it Shapiro? That's right. Doesn't matter. It's You Are a Badass. Yeah. Jen Sincero. I think that's it. I think I read that right. Thank you, JoJo. She talks about how, you know what? At least I get to train my boys how to change a tire. And I got to spend one-on-one time with them. You know what? Maybe I was in the car in traffic for an extra hour. At least I got to unwind, listen to some, country rap music, Jesus music, whatever you like. And I enjoyed my time. At least so start taking captive every single thought you have. Start realizing how you're operating. Is it negative? What purpose is it serving for you? Is it helping you? Or is it just hindering and making life impossible for you? My son's calling me from downstairs. So learning to visualize best case scenario, we, really envision that. Part of making best case scenario important is really to, something that has importance to it, has feelings, senses, and emotions. Oh man, my son he needs me. All right, I'm gonna have to get off here. So I'm gonna wrap this up as quickly and humanly possible as I can because somebody's breaking things down there. Basically, when you want to create importance around something, you need to create importance by having senses and emotions behind it. So using visualization is a big deal. Hold on. I'll be down in a minute, okay? I'll be down in a minute. Open the back door. I'll be down in a minute. Thank you. Yeah, let him out. Let him play in the yard. I'm literally live in a recorded Zoom right now. Okay, thank you, son. My poor 11-year-old, he tries so hard. So the kids are literally boys, 3 boys are just killing each other downstairs. So if you think about it, things that are important to us have feelings and emotions behind them. Things that happen in our past that were good, bad, or ugly, or whatever you want to put on that, have feelings and thoughts and emotions behind them. So when you want to create your future, first, you need to get clear on what's been operating and how have you been creating? What space are you creating from right now? You need to get clear on that. You need to figure out what has been your driving factor and your driving force in your life. You need to clear that up and start interrupting those thought patterns and replacing them with positive ones. And then when you create those future goals, those vision board things that y'all should have on your wall right now. If you're like me and you procrastinate, I still don't have mine, but I have it all visualized in my head. I'm a procrastinator. I know I have some procrastinators on here that have never actually printed it, cut it out and put it on the board. That's on my to-do list. It's happening. When you visualize, you need to take time. You need to sit down. You need to think about what your goal is. You need to put emotions. I want you to envision it in your head. Close your eyes. Envision it. Think about what it would feel like to be there at that goal. Put feelings, your senses, and your emotions. If you were at that Hawaiian destination or Switzerland, or you had that dream house, or you had that dream, how would it feel in that moment? Put feelings and senses behind it. You create new brain paths for yourself. You actually have to put work in when you want to do that. Pay attention to all the positive sensations instead of those easy negative realizations that we have. So if you start to like sit there and envision and you're like, well, I don't know if it'll happen. Those are easy brain flips that you've trained your brain. Just push that out and keep going. You just got to keep stopping yourself. You literally like a little kid who's cooking wrong and they keep dropping the eggs in the batter, like the egg, and you're like, oh, and you want to like correct every little thing they do. Instead of, you have to literally do that with your brain. You have to go, nope, nope, nope. You're pissed off? Nope. Oh, you're getting annoyed? Nope. We're going to be positive. Literally, it is a choice. And those small, little, tiny interruptions in our negative thoughts and creating new positive ones will literally speak volumes in your life. That is the beginning of training your brain into being positive. You have to start somewhere. So this is where I thought everyone really should start working on starting from. Actual actions, not just thoughts and hoity-toity concepts and all this big-headed, it's got to be, we got to keep it simple. We got to keep it simple. Like, we're not stupid, but we got to keep it simple because life can be overwhelming. And the last thing I really wanted to leave with, remember, small possibilities and small actions yield big or small rewards. If you want big rewards in your life, you're going to have to yield big possibilities. So stop in your negative small little box you put yourself in. Well, I want to hit that next rank before the end of the month so I can get that rank advancement bonus, but I don't really think it's going to happen. Well, you just created that as happening. The possibility that it's not going to happen because you literally just told yourself and manifested it's not really happening. And sometimes I'm an information, my brain is very analytical. So I look at data and the data right now doesn't look very good. But when you start sitting there with that data, what's more important? The debt, I'm not as close to my goal as I wanted, or making the money? Is the debt more important or making the money more important? Making the money. So stop focusing on the debt in your life and the negative things. Just stop. When you start thinking, like, one thing that I've done is look at all the debt that I have. And I'm like, I'm going to get real clear on all my debt. I'm going to look at it. Well, now all I think about is debt. That's it. It's negative constantly. Oh, debt. Oh my God, the debt. Oh my God, the debt. Oh my God, I got to pay that debt. I'm never going to pay that debt because my brain's always thinking about the debt. And it's not thinking about the solution, making the money. So I think this is really important. This is really powerful. It's a really simple way of going, hey, I'm not going to think about that negative debt. We got to pay it on time, be smart, but think about how can we fix it? What can we replace that with, that debt? We can replace it with making money. Hey, I don't know if I'm looking like I'm going to make my next rank to hit that rank advancement bonus. Forget that. Start thinking about how am I going to hit it? When you start envisioning the possibilities and visualize it, create feelings and senses around it, you make it important, you're giving it attention, you're creating sensualization around it, you're sensing it, you actually start creating that as happening. And when you do that, you start making that important. Then work backwards. All right, that's what's going to happen. Now, what would someone who is in this goal be doing every day? And then do that. So one thing I did today, the very last thing I want to say is one thing I did today was I filed for my LLC. I threw up money I didn't have because sitting here going, well, I think I'll do that when I make more money. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna know who has done this. I'm gonna wait until I make more money and, then put the money into doing that and filing for that. I'm gonna wait till I make more money to get an accountant. I'm gonna wait and then do it. You're making small choices. When you make those choices, no, I'm gonna be successful and I'm gonna make sure I'm financially set up. So I'm gonna put the money out for this because future person in this goal, they need this. So when you start making those big decisions and you yield big actions, you're going to get bigger results. So that's really what I wanted to talk about today. Shifting our mindset, talking about where we're at, why we're here, and how do we get out of here. I hope that was helpful to a few people. I hope I didn't bore you to death. I'm right here in it with you. We're all in the trenches. We're here together. We're digging our way out of here. We're getting the hell out of Dodge. This whole, we don't know where we're going, if we're going to hit things. It's just not a possibility anymore. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. And I guess we'll see you on the next meeting, which tomorrow, there's no tips from the top tomorrow, right? Just once a month from now on. Okay, I heard that right. All right, guys, I'm going to stop the recording. And I would love to see, or I would love to hear what some negative things you've replaced with positive ones. Even if you think it's silly, it's so important. I think we need to share that. I'd love for us to just randomly pop in a chat. Hey, instead of yelling at my neighbor today, I did something nice. Hey, that's awesome. Let's all start doing that more. All right, stop.